John Hardy, what do you see in terms of customer experience when it comes to shopping for product, whether it's counterfeit through the gray market or, again, a legitimate supply chain through manufacturer to one of our distributors to them?
Yeah, so our customers are, well, first of all, the internet has made life much easier for our customers to find product and to find ways to buy product outside of the channel. Mm-hmm. But I don't believe that they have been educated well on what the issues are if they're buying product that's either not refurbished properly or counterfeit or anything like that. So it's a tough one, and it's also a tough one internally in the distributor. There's so much going on all the time. To have our people look at a product and say, is this okay or not? It's probably not going to happen very well. So whenever you find it, you have to address it, but finding it is not so easy. Now, I think we could do a better job of just if we had signs at our counter, beware, for our customers, and did some education for our customers. Again, this is a boring topic. Nothing personal, but nothing personal. But nothing personal. But it's hard to wrap your arms around it because there are so many things that seem more important in your daily lives as a distributor.
I think Ian actually hit it on the head. I mean, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Cost, delivery, everything else.
Right.
But that should be suspect right away.
But there is a human nature part of it. You're a contractor. You have margins that are sometimes tight. You have time deadlines. You want to get done with one job because you got to get on to the next job. You have labor issues where if you have guys on a job site and they don't have product, you're paying them in some places, with benefits $90 or $100 an hour and they don't have their stuff. So the human nature is, I just want it fast, I want it cheap, and I want it cheap. And sometimes the human nature of it is they're not looking for a UL symbol, they're just trying to buy something. And the .com world is the frightening place that they often go to buy this stuff, right?
Yeah, Scott, I would also say that there are certain areas, certain markets where you're going to find more of it than you are others. And when you start to discover some of it, that's when you gotta sense and do some more stuff about it. I know in the Texas market right now, we're seeing an awful lot of refurbished product. And what does that mean? That means it was in a flood somewhere. Right. They pulled it out, and they dried it out, and they're selling it to you again. And so that's an area where we're being very careful now and trying our best to spread the word, because there's a lot of that product, and it's certainly much cheaper than buying the new product and available.
And something like that, if it hasn't gone back to UL, it's not legit. It would need to go back to UL to understand what was done to put it back into service and possibly do retesting. And
we've seen some real hurricane-ravaged areas, obviously. So the opportunity to, again, get a lot of jobs done quickly, restore people's lives, it is kind of a danger that stuff's getting dried up. Go ahead.
He mentions Texas, and there's a really interesting story of a different way maybe nobody's ever considered that some folks can get, I'll call it used or scrap product. We had a case where a gentleman in Texas actually came forward to us as an informant. This has been some time ago. And he was talking about, I'm getting product that's going out your back door. And so we spent a while trying to figure out what's he talking about going out the back door and stuff. What's he want? Because he was disgruntled. You could tell he was wanting to tell on somebody. So that's fine. We take all information. That's all good. So we end up meeting with him, and what we found out was that our manufacturing facility, the material they were scrapping that was return material that we weren't going to rework, or it was even coming out of our test lab. Because it was the manufacturing facility that we would do testing, UL testing and other new product testing. We were putting it in the scrap bin, and sending it to a scrap vendor. Well, the scrap vendor was subbing out the destruction, and those products were not getting destroyed. And so the guy in Texas was driving all the way up to the Northeast in his Wells Fargo trailer truck to bring all this product back to his facility in Texas. He had a little shop out back where he'd clean it up, maybe, you know, do a few things to it and then push it all into the marketplace. So, you know, they're very creative even in where they will go or to what lengths they'll go to get product to do this with, you know, and refurbish it and recondition it. And he was actually telling us he would go to Kinko's and get new labels and everything. So it was quite revealing to us. Of course, we've changed our scrap policy, needless to say. So we witness destruction now. We don't let it go out like that.
I don't blame you. You have a question?
Yeah, it's there are programs in the channel, what I call the authorized distribution channel, around counterfeit products and things that we can do. John mentioned a couple of them. I think informing our customers is probably the most important. There's power of authenticity. There are redistributors like Omni, you know, some programs being run, or we can buy square deep breakers that we're not authorized to buy to the channel. From what I'm hearing, I got just a couple of questions or comments. There's a difference in my view between, I'll call it new old stock. You've got that church, for example, that had a square deep panel in it. The lead time on a breaker, let's just say, I'm making this up, is such that the contractor may have gone to a surplus house that has, we'll call it new old stock. It's never been put into service and taken out of service, hypothetically. That's a different issue, it seems to me, than a counterfeit issue. And I'm wondering if you consider it differently, and if you separate those issues. And then my next question is, or comment, if we can attend to this issue in the authorized channel in North America, that's one thing, but I think the big issue is the market sites, like you mentioned, the Alibabas and the Amazons. And so my question to you is, are you looking to hold those platforms accountable for counterfeit goods that they allow to be sold on their sites? Is that even in the realm of possibility?
So the first question on the, I don't know if those were old stock new, and I guarantee you the contractor, electrical contractor, and the ultimate customer probably has no idea. It doesn't make sense to me that you would have a 20, 30-year-old breaker that hasn't been installed somewhere. And I think the one we did test it was a used product, but being sold as new. So, you know, that's just a precaution. You know, when I look at those date codes and I see something like really ancient, I just don't think that's a good idea, because you just don't know where that thing's been and, you know, what it's been through in that 20-year cycle. As far as working with Amazon and Alibaba, and yes, they have set up ways that we can work together and do partnerships, and there's different things that are going on with them that how effective they are is yet to be seen, because, you know, I'm somewhat concerned with Amazon, but a lot more concerned with Alibaba and the other Chinese sites, just because that's kind of the nature of the beast there. So, but Alibaba is stepping forward and trying to work more and be more aggressive about taking down sites. Now, how effective they've been, I don't know, but, you know, the numbers, they've got some really good statistics about how many listings they're taking down and stuff, and they will work with you. And Amazon would do the same as well. It's more the Amazon marketplace side of things than it is kind of what I call the pure Amazon. Because we do have, you know, legitimate suppliers that are supplying Amazon, you know, but there's that marketplace side of Amazon. And I'll even extend that, you know, there's other ones, Walmart Marketplace, you know, there's other marketplaces, U.S., that would be a little more concerning, but certainly all those Chinese sites and the new ones that are popping up, you know, and the first thing that comes out is it's just another avenue to distribute counterfeits.
Yeah, Randy, you make a really good point in that there's a need to find product that you're not authorized distributor for in order to fill bills of material and satisfy customer needs and that kind of stuff. And that's why I think it's really important to qualify, you know, where you trust that the product is going to be as they say it is, and so that's a big piece of, you know, what we went through, and I think that's important to do. But yes, you need that product. You got to find some way to get it, and you got to satisfy a customer need or fill the bill of materials. So
That's interesting, Tracy. You mentioned Amazon and Alibaba. Are they required to only put on their site authorized resellers, or they could put whoever they want on there?
Well, no, certainly on Alibaba, there's people there, there's nobody on Alibaba that's going to be an authorized Snyder distributor, probably. On Amazon, again, it's more through not the Amazon marketplace side of things, but the more the Amazon side that we may have some legitimate product going through. But the other could be genuine, you just don't know. It's kind of like on eBay, when there's a listing out there, it could be genuine product, but until you actually place the order for it, you really don't know what you're going to get.
let me ask you a question, Randy. I don't know the answer. I know I give Square D and Eaton a lot of credit for saying, well, look, let's help solve the need, and where they worked out a deal with Omni Cable. Are there other manufacturers doing the same thing with them?
I haven't seen it yet. I know that that was really a beta program. I don't know if it's out of beta yet. And then, I can say others in the room know that they've rolled out their Power of Authenticity program, which is really trying to allow their authorized distributors to have those molded case breakers, let's say, that you're not normally selling through as a flow good, but have that in stock, so that our people aren't looking elsewhere, outside of the authorized channel, to take care of that customer's need. Now, you get into some, you get into some hairy situations where there's no intent, but you might have an industrial site down, you've got a line down, they've got a disconnect, a breaker of some kind that there's no way you're going to find you're going to be able to wait the 6 or 8 weeks out of the factory to get that product in. So everybody's immediately looking elsewhere to try to find it, including everybody else's inventory. So the idea was that we load up our distribution centers with Power of Authenticity products, and it's a big financial commitment. Not to mention a big huge commitment to distribution centers that don't have a lot of extra space. So, right, man? He's the one that has to buy it. So it's really a challenge, and I feel it seems to me as though the legitimate distribution channel in North America, and that's just what I'm thinking about, is going to do everything it possibly can to help, because we all recognize the value of this and the importance of it. But that omni-channel is just going to be wide open, and so we're going to be working hard to fix a small trickle, and there's going to be a current of counterfeit product flying by through people in Asia, let's say, who just don't care. They absolutely don't care. I mean, have you shut down the counterfeit plant? Have you found some place in China that is knocking out these fake Schneider products?
Oh, certainly, yeah, over the, well,
Start up in the street.
the one I mentioned earlier that off of AliExpress that I placed the order for the Snyder contactor, our China team had already had some prior instances with that company. So that company was raided and shut down, and the owner was arrested. So as we speak, he's still in jail, awaiting the criminal prosecution. So we're in China. I mentioned they're starting to break apart the operations. They're starting to move them kind of out of the big cities, kind of out of sight type thing. So we are doing a lot of raids and shutdowns in China. Now outside of China, you're not really dealing necessarily with the manufacturer. You're dealing with folks that are distributing, importing counterfeits and stuff. And so we're certainly. I mean, I've been. I mentioned earlier that I focus a lot on Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And so a lot of my investigators and the investigators they're going in and working with authorities to raid these places, to seize product, and to do criminal charges. So yeah, we are, I mean, have we solved it? Obviously not. But there is a lot of activity going on to try to address it. But again, sometimes it's hard to find your way back that's one of the things that when I'm in an investigation, I always want to do is that if I find somebody selling counterfeits, I want to know where you bought it from. I want to keep going back until I can find, where's the big fish, and so, that's how it's starting to get difficult because, they're doing away with paperwork and, everybody's quiet. Nobody wants to tell on each other.
Does NEMA have, clearly Schneider is focused on this, does NEMA have an organization a consortium of manufacturers that work on this problem together?
NEMA we used to because when we had about 15 years ago, we had the counterfeit circuit breaker issue. NEMA would regularly get together, different manufacturers. We would go train at the ports in the United States. So NEMA was very involved. Lately, they haven't been, other than through the ESFI. I think continues to send out and publish on counterfeit products, through some of their publications. But it would be great to re-energize, the NEMA in this. It would be great.
Ian, you were going to say something about the Chinese manufacturers?
No, I think, the enforcement of it has always been a challenge. When I was at Emerson, that was something that the manufacturer had difficulty with, and it's always dependent upon government cooperation. I think in general, China is getting better. But I mean, we had multiple scenarios where, P&L Brothers are selling something that's illegal and they shut them down, and the next day they open up as L&P Brothers right next door. And so, it was like whack-a-mole. It's just a difficult problem.
And to come off of that, in some of the raids that we've done in some of the countries in Africa, even working with their government agencies that are supposed to be fighting counterfeits, there's corruption, and so we've had raids that have been sabotaged, and they've been informed that there's going to be a raid, and so there's no product there, and we've had multiple challenges even in some of these countries, and even if we've got the evidence and we're working with the right people, sometimes that falls apart. So it's definitely a big challenge for sure.